Before the sun cleared the cloud sea, Louie stood at the edge of the eastern ridge with his back to the island and a clay bowl steaming in both hands. The basalt rose ragged and black against a sky still bruised violet and indigo, and a single paper lantern swung from a rope strung between two salvaged posts, its amber light pooling on the wet stone. Wind moved through the gap in the rock. The lantern swung twice, then steadied. He did not look at anything in particular. The steam curled past his face and vanished. The island, he reflected quietly, was 263 paces from the northern drop to the southern shelf, 41 paces east to west at its widest point. He had measured it 4 times now, not because he had forgotten the number, but because the measuring was a way of holding it. He lifted the bowl and drank, then set it down and breathed. Marco's bread, he thought, was different from cook Renata's bread. Renata's bread smelled like the kitchen at the main house. Marco's smelled like this place, stone and cold and wood smoke. He could not say when that had changed or why it should matter to him at all. Below the ridge, from the direction of the camp, a faint orange glow rose, and a thin, straight thread of smoke climbed into the still air. Someone was already awake. Louie watched it a moment, and something crossed his face that was not quite a smile. By sunrise, the field kitchen smelled extraordinary. Miso and rendered fat and something herbaceous, and beneath it all, bread. Renata worked at the fire in the natural alcove of black stone, dried herbs hanging from a rope above her, a wooden spoon in one hand and a sheet of paper in the other. She did not look up when Louie appeared at the entrance. "You're 4 minutes early," she said, warm and preoccupied. "It's not ready. I can wait outside." "Sit down, Louie." It was flat and final, and he sat, holding his empty bowl in both hands. "This list Bettina left me," she went on, stirring and reading at once. "Day 23 provisions audit. She's color-coded it. In 3 colors. We have 7 things." "What are the 3 colors for?" he asked, genuinely curious. "Critical, necessary, and—" She paused, deeply tired. A woman who respected systems but had her limits. "I believe this one is aspirational." On the paper, in the 3rd column, a single word, cheese, and beside it, in parentheses, aspirational. Louie made a sound that was not quite a laugh. "She wrote aspirational." "She underlined it," Renata confirmed. This time it escaped him, small and real and brief. He covered it with his hand at once, as if apologizing for it. The laugh had left something different in his face, lighter, then uncertain about being lighter. Renata glanced back once, said nothing about what she had seen, and returned to her stirring. In the longhouse, morning light fell clean across the tamped earth floor. Goru still slept on the 3rd platform. Bettina stood at the table Louie had built himself, dressed with complete correctness as if this were the main house, her pen already moving over a ledger. "Good morning," she said, precise and warm beneath the precision. "I have routed the morning review to 12 items. The cistern has developed a secondary seep at the northeastern joint. Goru believes 2 hours of work. The drying rack on the south shelf is structurally marginal. And we have a visitor." Louie set down his bowl. "A visitor." The cloud shelf opened at dawn. "There is a survey vessel, small private registry. It anchored off the western face approximately 30 minutes ago. I have not approached it. I wanted to discuss the approach with you first." He looked toward the window where the blue outside was absolutely clear. "What kind of survey vessel?" "The flag is a compass rose on dark red. Mercantile Survey Guild. Independent." She measured the words gently. "Not any house we have dealt with." She let it land, and the meaning beneath it was plain. Not his former house, unknown territory, his decision to make. "Did they send a signal?" "A courtesy flag. They're waiting." From the sleeping platform, without opening his eyes, Goru rumbled, "We should greet them. Refusing a courtesy flag costs more than meeting one." After a long pause, Louie arrived somewhere. "Then we greet them. Bettina, what do we have that looks like we meant this?" Something changed very slightly in her expression. She had waited a long time for him to ask that kind of question. "Give me 20 minutes, she said, crisp and satisfied, already moving. By mid-morning, the western face stood in full light, the worst of the debris cleared away. Bettina had strung a hand-stitched banner between 2 basalt pillars, pale cloth embroidered simply and imperfectly with a shape that might have been an island above a cloud. It snapped hard once in the altitude wind, then held. Louie stood straight in his cleanest clothes, which were not very clean but were very neat, Goru and Bettina flanking him at the precise distance of formal retainers. 40 feet below, a shallow draft survey vessel in dark red lacquer lay at the mooring ledge, its occupant already climbing the carved stone steps. The figure was short, extremely short, armored in something practical and rich at once, leather layered over dark cloth, brass rivets, good boots. She carried a brass scope in one hand and a survey portfolio under her arm, and she studied the island with a professional focus that had nothing to do with Louie. At the top step, she looked up, dark braided hair threaded with brass beads, a broad, angular face built for skepticism, and eyes conducting a rapid inventory only slightly less efficient than Bettina's pen. They found the banner, then the rough longhouse, then the kitchen smoke, then Louie, and the order she assigned each thing was somehow visible. Survey designation 774, Co., she said, flat and immediate, not rude so much as plainly factual. Claimed territory? Claimed, Louie answered, trying to match her register and a little too careful about it. This is my island. I am Louie. I hold this island. He did not look away. That was small, and it was important. You hold it under what grant? Noble grant, deeded survey right, from the assembly. The papers are inside. I'll need to see them. She uncapped her scope and pointed it at the eastern ridge, holding a long moment on the exposed strata and its veins of color. Her expression did not change, but she recapped the scope very slowly. I'll come in. Inside, Bettina had laid her own white embroidered cloth over the amateur carpentry. With 3 clay cups and a pot of tea, the survey papers spread at one end. Serafina de Castro read for a long time while the tea steamed untouched. Goru stood near the door. Bettina stood slightly closer to Louie than a retainer's distance, and the visitor noticed without remarking on it. This is a full noble survey right, she said at last. Mineral, agricultural, atmospheric, deeded in perpetuity. She looked up. Noble deeds of this class are not typically assigned to— How old are you? 18. They gave you a full mineral survey right at 18. She did not editorialize, and the neutrality said everything. My house did not expect me to do very much with it, Louie said softly, not asking for sympathy, only stating the fact. She studied him, something running fast behind her stillness. The eastern ridge, the strata, what do you think is in there? Goru says there are probably iron deposits, maybe copper. We haven't had the tools to survey it properly. We've been focused on the cistern. Serafina looked at the tea, at the embroidered cloth, at the imperfect banner snapping beyond the window. The eastern strata of 774, Co., she said, disguising a decision as practicality, contains one of the deepest azure vein mineral deposits I have measured in 6 years of independent work. You are sitting on a resource find significant enough to rebuild this island 3 times over. Louie did not move. He looked at the papers, at his hands, at her. Why are you telling me this? Something in her face acknowledged it as the right question. Because you asked me why, she said, dry and precise, though something real surfaced beneath it like a shape under ice. And I don't know very many people who ask that. She closed her portfolio. I will be filing a survey amendment with my guild by end of week. Your deed will require a co-registration to protect the mineral rights from third-party claim. Leaving it as is invites contest from any chartered house that files first. I can handle the co-registration. Standard fee. What's the standard fee? For a fine this significant, I would normally negotiate an extraction percentage. 30 to 40% of operating yield. From the door, Goru made a low, mild sound, professionally neutral, which meant it was a warning. I haven't quoted my fee yet, Serafina said, eyes on Louie. What is your fee? She hesitated, deciding something that plainly cost her, though she did not entirely understand why. Surveying rights documentation, filing fees, my time, no extraction percentage. That seems very low, he said, not suspicious, only trying to understand. I have professional reasons for wanting this find properly registered, she answered, a little defensively. It expands my guild's standing significantly. It is not a charity. I didn't think it was, he said, just as simply. The wind moved outside and the banner held. Then Louie spoke again, small and honest, with no performance left in it at all. Would you stay for the midday meal? Renata, our cook, she'll have bread ready. It's very good.